Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, today we celebrate our 2nd anniversary. Also, the V-Team takes a look at Shock and Ire. And Speaker Mike Hubbard's criminal defense team is not obeying Judge Jacob Walker's orders.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me?
Yes, Mr. White, he's talking to you. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V.
The Voice of Alabama Politics, with your host, Bill Brett, and the V-Team with Claire Austin, Susan Britt, Jack Campbell, Baron Coleman, Charlana Spencer, and special reports with Jonathan Barbie. Now, the #1 political show in Alabama, The V.
Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's this thing over here, Jack?
I don't know, Dad. Forget about it. What's the bother you?
You know, we got to have, our production crew, they're a pretty funny bunch. And then sometimes Jonathan comes up with some really outrageous stuff like, what about this thing here?
This thing here.
I couldn't believe it.
This thing here.
But switching subject from the production crew to the wrecking crew, Governor Robert Bentley had a meeting with the ALGOP steering committee at which someone recorded the meeting and then leaked the tape to AL.com's Chuck Dean. Once that report came out, my phones were burning up with people saying it was a false report. The words were correct. The tenor and tone was absolutely false. You must have gotten a few calls yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first thing everybody wanted to know was who tapes a meeting and releases it without having to release it. I mean, it's one thing to tape it for your records, make sure you go back and hear what everybody has to say, or if somebody comes out and says, oh, the governor was in there threatening us and, threatening to burn the house down, he could pull out a tape and say, no, it's not quite exactly how it happened. I taped this. It's another thing to sort of use a tape as a sword instead of a shield. I can't think of any political person in Alabama recording a conversation, releasing it, and coming out on top.
No, and I tell you what, Ed Henry, the shrinking violet that he is, the delicate flower that is Ed Henry, he called it the Wrath of Bentley show, didn't he, Susan? He was livid about it.
Oh, he was absolutely livid. I mean, in our circles, that's a breach of trust. I mean, look at what happened to Scott Beeson. I mean, and he's still wearing that badge.
And Scott had a legal, he was trying to do the right thing.
He wasn't trying to just massage, his image, which is what it seems that this was an attempt to do.
Well, I tell you, Jack, nobody's happy. Nobody's happy.
No, they're not happy. And I just can't imagine the poor SOB who had to listen to it, how boring it must have been. But for Bentley to get up and chastise the party leadership for not supporting a tax plan, which has been the plank of every Republican platform for time immemorial, for him to chastise them for not coming on board, I think he has a lot of nerve.
Well, I tell you, the people I talked to, and it was a majority of the steering committee, said to a person they believed that it was the Bentley camp that leaked the tape. And they got to that impression because, look, there's 5 years of steering committee meetings. No one's ever leaked the tape before. Mm-hmm. This is the first time it happened.
And I tell you what, Terry Lathan has put it in stone, basically. If she finds out who it is, she's going to make them notorious.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Chairman Lathan's response. I spoke with her, and she said, look, I'm not going to get into the content of the meeting because it was private, even though it's out there. But she said, because I want to be consistent. I went there as a private meeting. I wanted to keep it as a private meeting. And she said, I do a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't know about. But this is not one of those times I'm going to speak out. But she did say, if I find out who released that tape, their name is going out there and let the chips fall where they may.
Far and wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Bentley or a Bentley operative or somebody working with him, it'd be very unusual. for a governor, certainly, to do this. It wouldn't be that far of a leap to conclude that that's probably what happened. I mean, Chuck Dean has been almost sycophantic in his coverage of Robert Bentley.
Yeah.
From talking to some of the members on the steering committee, it does not appear it was an accurate representation of the meeting. It appears the story Chuck Dean wrote was, again, like you said, the words may have been correct, but the fluff around it, it seems opposite of what happened. And it seems like the story was written to make Robert Bentley look good. And that's kind of leads you to believe Bentley's camp leaked the tape.
And that's one of the things we've talked about, I know y'all talked about on the radio show, and is that, they get Chuck Dean to write these articles that they're supposed to make the Bentley camp look good, but because he's a flaming liberal, they come off pretty bad, right, Susan? I mean,
They do. Dean was basically in favor of the taxes, so he kind of leaned with Bentley in that. I mean, go back to the affair, the article he wrote about that. The alleged affair, which anyway, you can tell that was coming right out of the governor's office. So this wouldn't surprise me if this came out too.
Yeah. I wrote that it was liberal media, and someone took issue with that. If you don't think Chuck Dean's liberal, I don't know who you would consider liberal.
No one benefited from leaking this tape.
No.
I mean, Bentley didn't look like a hero at all, in my opinion. In fact, he looked the very opposite. And I don't know what the steering committee people said. I didn't hear the tape, so. But, I mean, what purpose was served?
It's certainly going to make a strain between the governor and the steering committee.
They're
as far
never
as
going to
any
trust having a meeting with him again.
Individually or as a group, ever again. That's over.
Terry Lathan said now she has to start every conversation with, am I being taped? And when I spoke with her, she said, are you taping me? And I went, no. Is it okay if I tape you? And she goes, no.
And she repeated that several times, too.
Yeah.
Because now these people are totally afraid.
Well, let me tell you, that's been going on really since before Scott Beeson, that people have assumed
absolutely.
that somebody in the room may be taping you. And honestly, you probably should conduct yourself in a way that if something came out, you probably wouldn't be embarrassed or hurt or in any legal trouble.
Sure. I mean, but you think when you go into a meeting with the governor and he asks you for your candid advice, you want to feel like you're free to give it without there being repercussions and how it may be spun in the press.
And that's the problem. And therein lies the problem. It's not that it was taped. It's that it was taped and released as a sword and not a shield.
Right,
people don't mind people taping conversations if they keep it private and use it to protect themselves.
And some of those comments were taken out of context.
Right.
And the ones that were taken out of context were furious because it made them look bad to their constituents. And
Yeah,
that wasn't
if
right.
I'd been Ed Henry, I would have been mad too.
Or David Wheeler.
David Wheeler was really
Wheeler
angry.
really got taken out of context. David Wheeler, good Republican. He asked a question, and he got a bad answer when it went to the press.
Yeah.
I want to we got about a minute left. We've got a gentleman who's come out and is challenging Mike Rogers. Barron, you figured out how to pronounce his name, right?
I had to ask. His name is Teixeira. Larry Teixeira.
We're just going to say elect Larry, right?
Yeah, I think he needs to go with Larry rather than Teixeira. Seems like a decent guy. I don't know anything about him, but he's got time to make his case.
PhD in education.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the year of the anti-incumbent? And we got somebody coming against Martha Roby, now somebody coming against Rogers?
If I were Martha, I'd be a little bit more concerned than if I were Rogers, because although this Dr. Chiar, what's his name?
Teixeira,
he's got a heck of a resume.
Yeah.
He's an accomplished guy.
Yeah.
As for Becky Garrettson, she's one of the most well-known figures to.
She's nationally known. I mean,
Yeah.
She is.
She is.
So I mean, if I'm an incumbent, I'm worried.
Well, I think it's what you said before. If they can triangulate against Rogers, they can get him.
You either run scared or unopposed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Rogers he's got the banner around his neck of having stood up for Mike Hubbard.
Yep. All right, we're going to have to hold it right there. Mike Rogers is a cheerleader for Mike Hubbard. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. This is our 2-year anniversary. So come back. We're going to have a party a little later. You're watching The V.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Congratulations to the V team on 2 outstanding and successful years of broadcasting. We look forward to much continued success in the future.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Welcome back to the second anniversary edition of The V. Phil Williams, representative from Huntsville, has challenged Mike Hubbard for Speaker of the House. Williams says he is going to turn the House on its head and give power back to the members and not run it like a dictatorship. I mean, Susan, you've looked at this plan. Is it doable?
It's doable, as long as the members agree to it. Basically, it takes the committee appointments away from the Speaker and leaves it with the members to make their own committee appointments. And then within those committees, they will select their own chairman instead of it being appointed by the Speaker. That will give a whole different dynamic to the way the House works.
This is unprecedented, isn't it, Barron?
Yeah, and there are some who are a little concerned it might not actually work, that it might be too chaotic. I don't think so. I mean, I think this is a plan that might actually work. It's certainly different. And right now, you have a lot of members who were, over the last 4 or 5 years, feeling like they were just doing the bidding of the leadership. Their district really didn't have a voice. If the Speaker wanted something in their district, they got it. If not, they didn't. This sort of is a ground-up approach. It's a totally different approach.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, have you seen this type of approach work before?
No, but I've not seen an incumbent speaker being challenged like this, and I think that speaks volumes. But obviously, Phil Williams has thought this through.
Yeah,
and I think he's on the right track to returning the power to the members.
Well, you know, it would be refreshing. I mean, and the thing is that it would disperse the power out there. Now, the problem is all the wheeling and dealing, you know, for these chairmanships, that would be, poof, gone. I mean,
well, it would be. And the one committee that I've heard that's going to be tough for him to do, he might want to reserve the right to appoint the rules chairman.
Yeah.
And the rules committee, because otherwise the seniority all line up to be on rules. And
that's true.
You know,
and then that small cabal controls everything. So
it may be rules, maybe one he wants to have control over, and then let the members pick the rest of them. But I like the idea of members deciding: do I want to be on judiciary? Do I want to be on agriculture?
Sure.
Do I want to be on health? And then lobbying their fellow members. I would make a good chair of this committee. Why don't you select me?
Sure.
Yeah, and they get to be on 2 committees.
Yeah.
Each member gets to be on 2 committees.
Well,
Plus, they're including the new guys too in the decision of the committees and the chairs. They have a say in this, so it's not just the old guard.
Yeah, you have to wonder how some of these guys that came up under the Hubbard regime would even respond. I mean, they don't know anything other than a dictatorship. I mean, that's how he's run the place, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
I mean, from day one. I mean, I think Mike developed this plan over a long period of time, and he dotted every I and crossed every T, but he ran it like you say, like a dictator. And a lot of people bought in, and some of the committee chairs would fall on the sword for him. But there are a lot of people, and we talk to them all the time, that are absolutely disgusted.
Yeah, I think the tide has turned against Hubbard. I don't know that they can get the votes in the Republican caucus, but I think only one more shoe to drop and Mike's gone.
I agree.
You know, we were at that hearing, or observing the hearing this week, where Mike Hubbard he wanted 40 witnesses to prove prosecutorial misconduct, selective prosecution, and to challenge the constitutionality of the actual statutes that he helped pass. Now, one of the things that happened is right before the hearing, they amended their motion for these 40 witnesses, and they turned it into 37 witnesses. And they dropped some key figures off there, didn't they, Susan?
They did. They dropped Billy Canary for one. They actually dropped 6 off and added 3 on. Now, one of those is a constitutional lawyer who's going to go in and basically instruct the judge on the constitutionality of the Nova Scotia ruling and how he should make his decision on that.
Yeah, I don't think
that
that,
weird.
that's going to go over real well. But Billy Canary was off. Robert Abrams off. Abrams being the guy that owns the CV Holdings, which big money there. Seth Hammett's off, and Patricia Todd's off. What do you make of that, Jack?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and y'all are at the hearing. I thought it was interesting that many people have been called, because wasn't this supposed to be about what actually happened inside the grand jury?
That's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about.
It seems like the judge kind of opened the door a little bit and was a little sympathetic to some of, Mark White, slick as you know what, and it just seemed to me that he gave him a little leeway that I wasn't expecting to be given.
Mark White reminds me a lot of Foghorn Leghorn. That character, and he goes, "Well, Judge, we was hoping to get this in," and I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and Walker has said all along that this is going to be a very, very narrow window, very narrow subject. But now he seems to be backing off of that a little bit. It seems like more the Mark White whines, the more he kind of backs off of that. And I understand he doesn't want to get overturned on appeal, but
right, and we don't know.
This is turning into a circus.
Who's going to testify at this point? He said that Attorney General's folks that are currently working there, if they have to, they won't testify. If they're needed, they will actually just give depositions, and then he leaves it open for some other folks. But I got to tell you, they're calling people like John Archibald down there. I mean, can you imagine the stink that I would make if they tried to get me to testify down there? It would be ridiculous. We're the press. You can't just call us. Could Joe Blow call me off the street for a witness? No.
Could Joe Blow call the Attorney General to testify in his case? I don't think so.
But here, Hubbard thinks he can get by with that, and they're showing him preferential treatment, and it's a dang shame.
Well, I'm really surprised reporters were called. I mean, that's supposed to be sacrosanct.
Yeah.
What you guys learn and who you talk to and what's told to you. I'm
quite certain they have not been in the grand jury room.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Archibald didn't go down there. He's written about it, same as the rest of us have, but this is either to shut Archibald up, do a fishing hunt, a fishing expedition to see what he knows. I mean, that's all this really is. I mean, they're just going after anybody they can. But I think they let Billy Canary and Robert Abrams off because they'd have to take the fifth.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure some of the other ones that came off, they weren't exactly sure what they were going to say once they got there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that. But it's just outrageous that they are getting to make a mockery of Judge Walker's court. He is a fine jurist from what we understand, but we don't want to see him crawfishing back on anything either. He needs to keep these people held to the same standards that Joe Blow is held to. Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree. I mean, with myself.
Well, it just seems like, and I'm not, like I say, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like Judge Walker's being overly cautious in case this thing goes on appeal, that he's not reversed.
Sure.
And none of us want it to be appealed.
Right.
Absolutely, we don't.
No, we don't. We're going to leave it right there. You're watching the second anniversary. Could you believe we made it 2 years? Come back. We got a little party going on.
Thank you for each day you give to me. My darling, happy anniversary.
I'm John McMillan, Commissioner of Agriculture and Industries. I want to congratulate the V team on 2 years of a successful show, which I look forward to watching every week.
Hey, this is to everyone at the V team. Keep up the good work. 2 years on the air. We're looking forward to many, many more. Congratulations. Thank you so much for what you do.
Darling, happy anniversary. Another year of love has gone by.
Welcome back to the V, our second anniversary edition. Welcome, Claire. Welcome, Jonathan.
Good morning. It's been hectic, but I'm glad I made it.
We are happy you made it. As the Grateful Dead said, what a long, strange trip it's been, Jack.
Wow, isn't that the case?
To think that 2 years ago we sat up here and thought, we'll just produce a television show and people will watch.
And they have.
And I remember
if you build a baseball park, they'll come.
Yeah.
And Jonathan on the phone going, we'll call it the V. How cool would that be?
Yeah, and then we had to figure out what that meant. But really, everybody has put in their time and energy to be here just doing it for the love of doing it. And it's really the people out there who want good information about politics that has kept this show going. And so it's really you we need to celebrate today for supporting us and being here every Sunday to watch us. But I'd like to take a little time for everybody to sort of talk about what this has meant to them. And Jonathan, you're always backstage and running the gizmos. So how about you? You and Joanne, we had a clip of y'all getting married on the show. It's been a big event for you.
Well, this show has meant a lot to me, Bill, and I'm glad that you called me to say, hey, we want to do a TV show. Let's put one together. Because the two loves I have in life are politics and production. And I thought, well, this is going to be great. I'm going to get to do both together. And, you know, I knew we'd be on for a long time. I didn't know if we'd make it 2 years. 2 years is just amazing that we're here 2 years. And we have been through a lot of ups and downs on the show. We've had advertisers. We haven't had advertisers. We've had breaking news. We've had non-breaking news. We've been going through a trial right now. It's just been an amazing 2 years with a lot of news. And I think people are glad that we're here. I think people are glad that you are here and that Susan's here and that you do what you do with Political Reporter. And I think people need a show like this, an investigative show, a show that talks about the issues. And I am just glad that we're here. And I don't think we're going to go anywhere. I think we're going to be here no matter what they throw at us. You know, minus death in prison, and we'll still do it from prison.
Excuse me, you can speak for yourself.
I was clear. Y'all go on.
I might be on the outside of the cells, and we'll be videoed.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be in prison because I'm not doing anything illegal, okay?
Well,
you know how they are.
Yeah.
They'll try.
Well, you know, and Claire was when Susan and I talked about doing this, Claire was the first person we thought of because, you know, one thing you know about Claire, she does not have a problem speaking her mind. and we wanted someone who had experience, who understood the business from both sides, and that wasn't afraid to speak out. And so that's why we were so glad that you agreed to come on the show. And, you know,
thank you. Well, my father would be very proud, and my mother is very proud, and she watches it every Sunday, and she critiques you and Jack particularly if something doesn't look right.
We have the most to be critiqued.
Whether she likes the tie or if you need to shave your mustache or something
go get
like
a haircut.
Yeah, but you know, it has been very rewarding. It's been very fun. It's kind of like a new built-in family. My kids have enjoyed it as well. It is very trying at sometimes, particularly as a single mother with 3 children, but I always try to make it happen because I try to juggle a lot of balls. And, you know, I think one very rewarding thing, probably about 6 weeks ago, I was walking out of church, didn't know this lady, and she came up to me and she said, I just want you to know I watch y'all on the V every Sunday. And she says, you do a great job. And she says, I am so disgusted with all these crooks in Alabama politics and Republican politics. And so she just kept on and on and on talking to me outside the church. And I thought, you know, that's the reason we do it. And I had another lady that came up to me in Publix where we shop, Jack, the same thing. And I did know her. And people really watch it more than you know, and people definitely watch it on the YouTube. And if I hadn't sent it to people, they start wondering where it is. And you know,
the phone starts ringing.
And then the legislators and elected people, they really like it. And of course, you know, we've had so many of them on the show over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a good, diverse team. We've got one out that's having a baby, and we've got one that had to go to a legal meeting this afternoon.
Oh,
but
we're
anyway,
all pretty busy.
Yeah, everybody's busy.
Well, we're certainly glad you're here. And you have a built-in fan base. We know that. We hear about it.
For some odd reason, I have on pants for the first time ever.
Mark the calendar, Jonathan.
Well, Jack, you always wear pants.
Well, I've tried to. I've been accused of wearing dresses, but I really love doing this. It's a lot of fun week to week. I think we have a battle every week over Claire being on time. Oh. But other than that, we get along remarkably well. Yeah. I wish if they weren't so out there that we could show some outtakes of this show because they've been something else. But we get along remarkably well. I think we're all on the same page about most issues. Some things we differ. But, you know, when I first started doing this, people say, I saw you on TV Sunday. You know, kind of whisper it to you. But now, I went to an event last night. People said, man, I really like the V. I've started watching it. And, you know, we were kind of a pariah at first in the infancy of the show because we took on the establishment, I think, on a lot of issues. But I think people now are realizing that, hey, maybe those guys were onto something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of worth it from that perspective.
One thing I'd like to say, but I won't forget it, is I want to thank, the retirement systems of Alabama and Dr. Barner and them, because they have let us use this facility here. And it is a great facility and very representative of the entire state of Alabama, even though we are statewide. As we know, things really go on in Goat Hill and in Montgomery.
Absolutely.
Bill, tell us quickly about you.
Well, for me, this has been a dream come true. I get to work every day with my wife. I get to do the things that I love, which is telling the truth about politics and political actors. And for me, just the fellowship with all of y'all and the excitement of knowing that we're doing what's right in a time of turmoil. We could have cowered away and done a different type of show. We could have reported the news differently and been very prosperous instead of reporting it right and accurately and facing the lions.
The fruits will come one day, and they're not that far away, I hope.
We've all become very good friends, too, in this process. I've known Claire since she was 16 years old. I won't say how long ago that was. It's a long time for me, too. But we've all developed a good friendship, and, we go to dinner and lunch, and I notice more people speak to us now when we're in public.
Well, Susan, you've come out from behind the scenes to the forefront. How are you enjoying the new role?
I love being at this part of Alabama history. I think we're at an important juncture here. Claire was talking about people that come up to you in the strangest places all over the state. And I do want to give a little shout out to my friend Jewel, who watches us every Sunday religiously. She's 90+ years old. She watches it on the computer. I email it to her every week. She loves it, and she's always commenting, y'all are doing a great job. What do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? And I think that's an important conversation to people. It's something they should have. And, like Jonathan says, the money's been up and down. They've come after us from every angle, but we're still here, and we're going to stay right here.
We're still here because there are people who really care about good commentary, good news, and the truth. We want to thank you for watching The V, for helping us celebrate our 2nd anniversary. You can catch new stories every day at alreporter.com. Like us on Facebook, watch us on YouTube, but join us every Sunday for The V. Happy
Some
birthday.
things are egregious, remember.
We have a cake, too.
I know you've been dying to get into that cake. Happy anniversary, everybody. And to the viewers, too.
Thank y'all for watching us.
Thank you.